Kia ora, I'm David Chaston with 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This we get everything you need to know in 90 seconds at 9 o'clock. News all dominated by the US Fed decision, which is playing out in real time as you watch this. They have raised their policy rate by 25 basis points to 5% today, as widely expected, but their outlook was more hawkish than expected. They said, quote, "The committee anticipates that some additional policy firming may be appropriate in order to attain a stance of monetary policy that is sufficiently restrictive to return inflation to 2% over time." And they also said, quote, "The committee will continue reducing its holdings of Treasury securities and agency debt and agency-backed securities, as described in its previously announced plans. The committee is strongly committed to returning inflation to its 2% objective," unquote. Their official note hardly mentioned the banking crisis. It's essentially all about fighting inflation. Markets reacted with the expectation that bond markets will be taking more pain and benchmark yields eased slightly. Equities jumped on the modest rate hike. The US dollar fell, but only relatively modestly. Meanwhile, the recovery of the long dormant US housing market took another step last week. Mortgage applications rose 3% last week, the third consecutive week of increases. Their 30-year benchmark mortgage rate fell by 23 basis points to 6.48%, declining for a second consecutive week. Things are not so good in the commercial and office real estate sector, however. Office tower owners face pressure on two fronts: borrowing costs and vacancies. And bankruptcies are starting to emerge, with two big landlords succumbing in the past few days. In northern China and around Beijing, they're getting their worst air pollution in years. It is as much environmental as industrial. In the UK, where they released their February CPI data overnight, they didn't get the retreat below 10% they expected. In fact, CPI inflation rose to 10.4%, with a rise from January running at a rate exceeding 13%. Inflation is biting its hardest there since their October surge. In Australia, ASIC has told their superannuation fund managers they must revalue their asset portfolio to market conditions much more frequently in the current environment, recognising the market repricing even for unlisted asset valuations. The US Treasury 10-year yield starts today at 3.55% and down 4 basis points from this time yesterday. And the price of gold will open today at $1,948 an ounce, and that's up $7 from yesterday. And oil prices start today up $1 at just on $70.50 a barrel in the US, while the international Brent price is $76 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar is up almost a cent against the US dollar, now at 62.5 US cents after the Fed decision. Against the Aussie, we're a quarter cent firmer at 93.1 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're also a little firmer at 57.6 euro cents. That puts our trade weight index back up to 70.4 with a 50 basis point gain. Get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.